In a world that's all about speed and efficiency, there's this really fundamental human quality that feels like it's getting, well, left behind. I'm talking about sensitivity. It's the very thing that connects us, but it seems to be fading. So what is it really? Where did it go? And maybe most importantly, how do we get it back?
Wow. Just let that sink in for a second. This quote puts it in the starkest terms possible. It's saying that sensitivity isn't just some nice-to-have emotion. It's literally the foundation of our shared humanity. If that crumbles, everything else comes down with it.
Okay, so before we can really dig into what we might be losing, we've got to be on the same page. What exactly is sensitivity?
At its core, sensitivity is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly profound. It's way more than just feeling sorry for someone. It's about truly feeling with them, getting what they're going through on a deep level. And then, and this is the key part, feeling compelled to act on it, to actually reach out and help.
And that's exactly why you can call it the soul of humanity. Because through that connection, all the big things that make society work, love, compassion, cooperation, all of it, they have a chance to actually thrive. Without it, we're just a bunch of individuals bumping into each other. With it, we become a real community.
But here's the tough part. If sensitivity is so vital, we kind of have to face a difficult reality. It really does seem to be disappearing. Let's just look at a few ways this pops up in our everyday lives.
We've all seen this, right? There's an accident, and the first instinct for so many people is to pull out a phone, not to offer a hand. Online, a huge loss gets a sad face emoji before we scroll on. Even at home, families can be in the same room, but they're miles apart, totally lost in their screens. And out in the world, we're seeing people judge each other based on labels instead of their actual humanity.
And this just boils it down perfectly. It's the choice we face in those critical moments. One path is empathy that leads to action. The other is this weird detachment that leads to, well, nothing. The urge to record someone's pain instead of trying to relieve it. It's a really clear and, honestly, a pretty troubling fork in the road.
So how did we get here? This kind of disconnect doesn't just happen overnight. There are some very specific forces in our modern lives that are actively chipping away at this fundamental human trait. You can really see how these stack on top of each other. Our constant hustle for success means we have zero time for anyone else. The very technology that promised to connect us all often just leaves us feeling more alone. We're sort of trained to see everyone as a competitor. We're swamped with media that just numbs us to violence. And, our education system is amazing at teaching technical skills, but not so much the essential human ones.
And look, this loss of sensitivity isn't just some vague feeling or a personal problem. It has real, measurable, and pretty devastating consequences for all of us, for society as a whole.
So, first off, the very fabric of society starts to tear. It's simple. When we stop caring about each other, the trust and the cooperation that let communities work, they just start to disappear.
And on a personal level, the cost is just huge. Without that emotional connection, families get weaker. Friendships feel shallow. Loneliness becomes this massive epidemic, which just leads to more conflict and more isolation.
And there's a direct line here. When compassion dies, cruelty tends to fill the void. A lot of the crime and violence we see really stems from this deep emotional numbness, a total inability to see the humanity in the other person.
This also takes a massive toll on our own minds. We're social creatures, right? That's just how we're wired. So when we get detached and isolated, is it really any surprise that we're seeing these staggering rises in depression, anxiety, and all kinds of mental health crises affecting everyone, young and old?
And this is where it all leads. This is the final stop. When we lose our ability to feel for one another, we risk becoming what the source material calls mere thinking machines, basically beings with a beating heart but no real feeling inside. And that's the true beginning of the end for a civilization. But, and this is a really big but, it doesn't have to be this way, okay? Insensitivity isn't a terminal disease. It's more like the heart has just fallen asleep, and it can be woken up. We can absolutely rekindle that flame.
The path back is actually paved with a lot of small, totally doable actions. It starts right at home, teaching our kids about kindness from day one. It continues in our schools, making sure emotional intelligence is just as important as math or science. It's about how we use our tech, choosing to offer real help instead of just a virtual thumbs up. And it means reconnecting with the world around us, through volunteering, through being kind to animals and nature, and through self-reflection, which helps us understand ourselves so we can better understand everyone else. And the great news is, we have amazing models to follow. I mean, from historical giants like Gandhi and Mother Teresa to the millions of everyday heroes all around us, volunteers, good neighbors, activists. These are the people proving that sensitivity is alive and well, and that humanity's flame is still burning bright.
Let's wrap up with this powerful way of looking at it. For so long, we've been taught to see sensitivity as a weakness, right? Like being too emotional. But the truth is, the complete opposite. It is the ultimate strength. It takes real courage to feel with other people, to see past all our differences, and to connect with a shared humanity that's inside every single one of us.
So, in the end, this isn't really a question for society, it's a question for each of us. The world changes one person, one kind act at a time. So the real question, the one that really matters, is this: how will you rekindle the flame?